I struggle at certain things in my business, and I know that other people have those skill sets that are way better than I do.
I think realizing this is probably as big as I can grow it, my current ability and power and bandwidth and skill set and all of that. But a shift that happened for me was realizing I know what I need to go do as a generalist to get this thing up and running, and I know exactly who I need to put in what position, what skills I need to bring as.
In the fitness industry, trends happen a lot. How do you stay ahead of that? Do you just have a consistency that you've built into your business?
I like to play more in the micro gym, like niche, usually non-franchises, smaller. I like the micro side of it because I think we fix very specific problems for people, but we're not for everybody.
What's up, everybody? This is Ryan Van Ornum, and this is Scaling Up Success Podcast. Today, I'm here with Adam Ludlow of Rewired Fitness, and super excited to have him on. I've known Adam for a couple of years now.
Yeah, probably 2 years.
Yeah. He hangs his hat up in Spokane, Washington, and I'm super excited to have you on this episode. So why don't you just start by telling everybody about what you do, who you are, and what makes you you.
Thanks, Ryan. I appreciate that. So Adam Ludlow, I've been in Spokane since 2011. I currently own technically 4 businesses, 2 gyms. So I've been in the fitness world for a long time. I own 2 brick-and-mortar gym locations, one in Spokane and one in a little town called Meade, Washington, which is just north of Spokane. And then I own a business coaching company and a holding company that's more just passive for some commercial real estate that we have.
Man, that's legit, dude. And man, I lived in Spokane back in 2001 to 2005. And man, the changes that are happening up there is pretty incredible over the last 10, 15 years.
Yeah, it's when we got here, there wasn't a whole lot going on. I'm glad we've seen a lot of growth. Honestly, it was one of those things where COVID put Spokane on the map in a lot of ways. Our population almost doubled since 2020.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah.
And does just maybe going a little off tangent here, but does I-90 still have the 6-foot or 6-inch ruts from the studded tires up there on the freeway?
Yeah, that's never changing. So yeah, Spokane's potholes are just, it's kind of like rolling the dice every time you drive. You just don't know what you're going to.
Exactly. Do I need a front end alignment after I go to work today?
Yeah.
Well, I digress, but man, that it's still a pretty cool spot to live in. So I definitely need to get back up there and say hi to you guys and everything. But running 4 businesses, man, that is it's probably a challenge to be able to do that. How do you do that? Is it leverage? What do you focus on that really succeed with what you're doing?
It's a good question. I'd say the primary thing that has allowed me to be able to do what I'm able to do is building really good teams. We wouldn't be able to do any of this without a really good team. So for the longest time, I ran one of our gyms, we started in 2013. And like many entrepreneurs, I kind of just did everything. And that turned into a very, very busy job where I was the lid and the cap as to where we could grow. And at some point, I had good coaches, kind of learned by throwing myself in the fire as well, but realized I can't do more than this until I figure out how I need to not have my hands on everything. So that's really been the biggest part, is being able to train, recruit, develop, and empower the right people in the right positions, doing the right things the right way. That's helped us exponentially be able to do more and also have a lot more fun while we're doing it.
And I tell people it's kind of like rewriting your job description, right? As a business owner, as a solopreneur, let's say, until you start leveraging and pushing that stuff off, not pushing it off, but giving it to somebody that may have more time and abilities. I struggle at certain things in my business, and I know that other people have those skill sets that are way better than I do. So how do you, what made you go to that level and say, you know what, I just need to give this to somebody else? And how do you continue to develop such a strong culture in your businesses?
That's a good question. I think realizing we got to a spot where this is probably as big as I can grow it under my current ability and power and bandwidth and skill set and all of that. So I think realizing, especially for our two gyms, which are, our two larger businesses and more active, have more day-to-day requirements, I think I realized like my role for both of those has shifted a lot. I'm not as much in the business and not as much in product delivery. I will work a little more on the business and with the team, with the brand. But a shift that happened for me was realizing I probably need to stay a bit of a generalist, but I need to get good at hiring specialists. That helped us grow quite a bit. And I think, realizing with our first gym that we've had for about 12 years, I did that. I just did that really slowly. With our second gym that we've had since this fall, we were able to scale and grow that really fast, just knowing like, all right, I know what I need to go do as a generalist to get this thing up and running, and I know exactly who I need to put in what position and what skills I need to bring as specialists. And that allowed us to grow exponentially faster. I mean, in 3 months, we covered what used to take me 9 years. So
Wow.
that feels good. I'd say like that's something I was like, this is a fun project because I kind of get to see how I used to, how I would have done things in the past versus, I've learned enough ways to do it wrongly that now I know a little bit more about how to do things correctly. That's probably been a big part, is realizing the power of when I can act as a generalist at times and put specialists in the right place. That's a really good combination.
Man, that's really sound advice for a lot of people that are looking to kind of like get out of their own way almost. You can oversee everything, you can kind of understand where everything is going, but have people that do it better than you. Now, I'm sure for the first, you know, X amount of years that you were building out that first gym, what was your work-life balance like until you started kind of leveraging those pieces out?
Yeah, it was got into fitness because I took something I was passionate about that was kind of a hobby turned a job, and then I wanted to turn a job into a business. And as we were building out the gym, I mean, there's a lot of, we don't work 9 to 5, we work 5 to 9 in the fitness industry. So there was a lot of that for a lot of years and a lot of grind and hustle and trial and error. And even when you're wildly passionate about something, you're willing to devote that many hours and years and ultimately decades to, passion only goes so far. So I think I'm just as passionate about the fitness industry now. I'm just passionate about it in different ways than really have been at any other point in my life. But realizing for the longest time, I kept thinking, well, when we get to a certain spot, I'll have, a better work-life balance. And I kept seeing it as like it's out on the horizon and it's kind of blurry. I can't really see it. I'm not really sure how to get there, but I know it'll happen eventually. And kind of just thinking like, well, if you just put the time in, you'll get there. And realizing that's not the way this works.
Right.
And I think realizing now I've intentionally built our businesses where the things that I really want to be able to leverage out of it stay at the forefront for me. Like I want to be able to have as much autonomy and control with my time as humanly possible. So I've tried to build our gyms in a way where I've made sure that my time and input and influence is absolutely maximized, and I'm spending little to absolutely zero time on things that I could hire out to a specialist or put a better system in place, or things that really give me my time back. I recognize that what we've built currently, although I think it's working very well, the lifestyle that we can get from it, the schedule that it allows, the impact and kind of benefit it gives to our family, it's a great balance. There's things we could do where I think if we really just wanted to, for example, go make more money, we could probably do it, but we would have to give up on other things. Uh,
Sure.
Being able to clarify like what's most important to us and how do we not compromise on that. I feel like we found a pretty good sweet spot with that.
That's fantastic. And being able to like it always feels like to me, it's kind of like you can't ever just be perfectly in the middle work-life balance. Like there's always a little bit of a pendulum swing. You know what I'm saying? But you can make that smaller. You can make
Yeah,
that pendulum swing smaller.
yeah,
You
totally.
know, so with what you do right now, what are you seeing? Like, how do you stay ahead of like, because like in the fitness industry, trends happen a lot. How do you stay ahead of that? Do you just have a consistency that you've built into your business with it?
I think understanding that when you're in a micro industry, so what I mean by that's like, I would say we're in a micro gym industry. So for the listener that's hearing that, that might be a new word, but what I mean is like, if you think of gyms like breweries, there's macro breweries like, Budweiser would be a macro,
Right.
like it's everywhere. It's meant to reach the masses and it's readily available and it's cheap. It's maybe not the most customized thing, but you can get it anywhere. So like macro gyms for us are, your Planet Fitness, 24-hour fitness,
Sure.
yeah. Those are awesome. Those are probably always going to be around and the industry needs those. But I like to play more in the micro gym world where so like niche brick and mortars, usually non-franchises, smaller, typically like class-based gyms. That's more where we fall in. And that's more like micro brewery, like your local
Yeah.
brewery down the street. So I like the micro side of it because I think we fix very specific problems for people, but we're not for everybody. So for me in my industry, like there's always problems to be fixed, right? There's always new things coming up, but knowing if you get really good at defining what problems you actually fix for people and what products you actually deliver for people. For us, we don't get people fitter and we don't sell fitness. Like that's way too generic. We tried to go much more specific than that and build our branding, our model, our messaging, our culture around that. I think that's given us a probably not only leverage but clarity that maybe some of our competitors don't have. Like we don't really we don't really think of what we do as selling gym memberships. At the end of the day, I mean, technically that's what people are paying for, but I think when we've defined what we're doing a little more deeply than that, it's given us a better look and a better lens, which I think's helped mostly on the clarity side of things.
That's quality right there, man. And you know, it's understand like you just said, having clarity in what your almost like a mission statement to what you do for your business. A lot of people just go out there and try to throw stuff at the wall, and you were very defined. You were very flushed out type of business model for you. And what I've seen in business, that like if you have a niche, stay in your niche. You know, if you try to go to the masses, you're probably going to get ran over by the big boys anyway. So, but niches definitely work. So,
Mhm.
with that being said, I don't think any part of business has not been affected by technology in the last 25, 30 years, especially since, like computers and internet and everything like that. What are you seeing in the fitness side of things that's really, I mean, you guys, there's so much technology coming into that business side. What are you seeing right now that the trends are pushing towards?
That's, I would say I probably have two answers to that. One is what a lot of people thought we were going to see but didn't, and then I'll probably talk a little more on what I think I'm actually seeing. So the big one that I think most of the fitness industry thought that we were going to see, and I wouldn't say it really fleshed out. It did temporarily, but it's kind of fizzled. Obviously, like when COVID hit, that was very difficult on gyms, right? So, fitness took a very quick pivot during COVID.
Yeah.
If you were paying, 150 bucks, 200 bucks to go to a local micro gym, and then all of a sudden they're closed, it's like, well, all gyms basically became either dead or pivoted to like online fitness training systems or studios or online coaching or programming. But like it all kind of went digital or like digital meets physical to some degree. And I think a lot of people assumed that the whole industry was going to turn that way and like get on the train or get ran over. And I think what we've noticed is there's been some great growth in tech in the fitness industry, but at the same time, culture and society has only developed a larger craving for participative community. And there are less and less places that have made that available. And the gym has kind of naturally become a spot for people to get some of that. So, I mean, traditionally, if you think about this, like 10 years ago, you had your home life, you had your work life, and like maybe you had something else you were a part of. Like could be, your church or a softball league you were a part of, or a
Yeah.
group of buddies you bowled with. Like most people kind of had like a third place. And what's interesting is like work and home have gotten so much closer. I mean, a lot of people are working from home like we are right now,
Right.
or it's gotten a little bit more blended, but the need for belonging somewhere outside of those where you can be with, probably people of similar walks of life, similar age, similar interests, demographics, whatever, that has not shrunk whatsoever. If anything, I think that's gotten harder and harder to find with a huge demand and a really low supply. And I think that's one of the niches where gyms, maybe somewhat more like ours, but kind of gyms in general, have planted a flag in the ground and done well. Uh,
That's cool. That's
and
real
that,
cool.
that to me is like, it's kind of hard to argue that that hasn't happened because I'm like, well, dude, you can work out at home for the cost of an app and a pair of dumbbells, but people will pay 10 times that to go to a gym where they have to book a class. It's appointment only, it's proximity based, it's time bound, it's expensive, like all of these barriers. But like, yeah, but like I want to feel like I belong to something outside of just, my work life and my home life. I want to feel like I get to be around people. I want to do something where I feel like I'm doing something kind of a team atmosphere. I want to get out and like sweat and laugh and get out of my work mode or get out of my house mode. I don't think that's going away. I really don't. Maybe I'm naive in thinking that, but like that to me I think that's a big reason why I've got a lot of confidence that micro gyms will probably be around a long time.
And you know, it it's funny because I was military and I found that that camaraderie at the gym, you know, did more than a lot of like the the scenarios that we work through, just being able to be physical, hang out, do something of, activity level with other people that it's not easy moving weight,
Mhm.
you know. So having someone to have your back, even just as a spot, like if you're lifting, different things like that, there's so much camaraderie that's born from that stuff. And there's something about like, I know, like, I guess accountability partner. It is
Mhm.
much easier to flake on myself than it is to flake on a gym partner. Oh,
Yeah.
we're gonna be there at 5:30 in the morning. All right, I'm gonna be there.
Yep.
So, no, very interesting, and I like your take on that. So, with that being said, you talked about this a little bit. The social environments really since COVID have really changed the gym environment. But do you see that it's swinging back even more? I mean, with some of the things that you've been talking about?
That's a good question. I think it's too early to tell. I think the social environment still has a lot of demand. I don't think that's gone away or is going away. I also think there's been a heightened increase in the market, specifically for gyms, where some of the benefits we've had in tech development, like they just make the user experience a lot better. For example, like our newest gym is a 24/7 gym, more of a traditional open gym model, but you can go whenever you want. And for us, like our tech system, it's not like we reinvented the wheel or anything, but like we have it where you don't have to go through a sales process. You can sign up online or through an app. You can get access through your phone, and you never have to like sit through a sales pitch. You don't have to like wait for the gym's staffed hours. We made it where like the user experience can go when they want and sign up when they want. And just little things like that of that's an advance in tech that I think meets society and culture a little more where they're at of like, yeah, we do want community, but I also there's some individualized stuff that I want now and I don't want to wait for it.
Right. Having a little bit of automation to things on the backside, I think is flushes a lot of that stuff out too. Like they don't have to you don't have to talk to someone on the phone to get your membership started, that you can do
Totally.
everything yourself. A lot of our community is more understanding of tech now,
Yep.
just navigating the internet type of stuff. So now give a little bit of advice to like a someone starting their entrepreneurial journey. What little tips or, business hacks would you give to someone just starting out?
I love that question. Regardless of what age they are, but if they're starting out in an entrepreneur journey, I think the best advice I would give is define what winning would look like in this season. I think a mistake that often gets made and kind of unknowingly, especially for early entrepreneurs, is probably this would probably never get said out loud, but it's kind of said subconsciously, is that, well, I'm not really winning until my business is up and running and I'm, doing X amount a year and we're crushing it and blah, blah, blah. And that, I mean, that's great. Like, great to have that in the back of the mind, but like define what winning would look like in this like startup season or in the grind season or in the discovery season. Like, you got to be able to find what winning looks like at all different stages. And oftentimes in the early stage, if you don't develop a culture and the mindset of defining what winning looks like, then I don't think you'll develop one later.
I would agree with that. And I think if you start with like, I want 1,000 clients or whatever it is, right? You move the goalposts for your happiness. And because like, oh, I hit 1,000, or like, or I maybe I didn't hit 1,000 in a timeline, or maybe you don't even have a timeline, and it just feels like you're setting yourself up for negative thoughts of intrusion to happen. So no, I totally respect what you said on that, and it's quality sound advice, and thank you for sharing that, man. Man, it seems like these these podcasts go so quickly, but man, we've already reached our time, man, and I appreciate you being on this thing. How can people get a hold of you and visit your gyms, about your business coaching? Give all the socials, give all you want out now right now, man.
I appreciate it. So best way to follow me personally is Instagram at Coach Adam Ludlow, Ludlow. Links to both gyms are on there. We own Rewired Fitness Co. and Rewired 247. I got a 12-week coaching and leadership course coming up that launches at the beginning of March. If that interests you, I'd say follow, because we're gonna have some discount codes going out from my own personal Instagram during the month of February. Other than that, man, if anybody's, interested in more questions, just wants another voice to talk to, I love conversations like this. Feel free to reach out. Would love just to hear more about the listeners and what they're going through and what questions they might have.
That's fantastic, man. Well, always love catching up with you, Adam. Appreciate you as not just a fellow, business owner but distant friend. We've known each other for years, and always love catching up with you, my friend.
I appreciate it, Ryan, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. Have a wonderful day.